This is McCook's Mr. Billson. Honored to have you here. There are things in your life that you will do and say, I'll never do it again. Or in the past, you say, I did something and I don't ever want to do that again. One of the things that I've said I'll never do again is allow a rich man to take me out for supper. Of course, he called it dinner. I never did understand why dinner would be in the evening. We called dinner at noontime, breakfast, dinner, and then supper. And so I'm already, outside the box of what they're thinking would be. Well, they took us to a fancy outfit on a private golf course, and it was a high dollar type thing I was fearing, but they said they'd pay for it. Okay. And we got there, and a fancy man in a suit let us in the building and said, we have your reservation. I ain't never taken my wife to a restaurant that I needed a reservation. Ain't never in my 45 years. With that, though, we went into a screened area. Oh, you could see the rest of the patrons in there eating away, most of them in fancy suits and stuff. I didn't have a suit on. He said that, okay, you don't have to, the guy that had brought me. But I felt out of place with that alone. Then they brought out pamphlets and handed it to everybody and opened it up. And here they was talking about wine. What kind of wine you want. And no prices on anything. That scares the devil out of a country boy. I want to know what I'm getting and what I'm paying for. Now, I don't drink. Never drank a beer in my life. Never smoked a cigarette in my life. And I sure ain't drinking no wine. But I let everybody talk about what they was doing. And they came to me then, and they said, this is the kind of wine we're going to get. And I said, do you mind if I just, you got Diet Dr. Pepper here? And they said, yeah, we've got that. And I said, I'll take that. And so that's what they did for me. And then, when they brought that bottle of wine, that old fancy dressed outfit guy, and the wine, they said, yeah, it looks good. So then they used a fancy rig to pull that cork off. And he then passed it to the guy that was doing the paying, and he sniffed the cork. Now, never once in my entire life did I take off the lid off a pop and sniff it to see if it was okay. If it was okay. Never done that with pop. So, with that in mind, he said, yeah, it's okay. Then they took the bottle and they poured that bottle through a strainer into the different cups. And I was realizing there was a lot of sediment in the bottom of that old wine bottle. Now, whoa! And never once have I ever worried about saying, I better strain that Diet Dr. Pepper before I drink it. Never did I have to worry about that. Everybody got the wine that wanted it. And then they handed us out the pamphlets for the food. Okay. So we looked at it, and again, no prices on nothing, which is scary. Then, and most of it, I had no idea what it was. And not one single hamburger was on there. Or maybe a hot beef sandwich. I like those. With that in mind, they then took and everybody ordered, and they got to me, and I said, guys, I apologize, but I don't know what this stuff is. And the guy that had invited us, he said, Mr. Bill, I'll take care of this for you. I'll order for you. And I said, well, just remember, I'm more country than anything. And I said, keep it simple. He said, sure, sure. And he ordered me some kind of a platter type thing. And then we waited for a good 30 minutes to get anything. I'd have been bored out of my mind at a regular restaurant that I go to if it took 30 minutes to get the food to you. Be that as it may, they didn't seem to mind a bit, those rich people. We got the food, and they brought my plate and set it down in front of me. Now, I get a little frustrated when over half of the plate is empty. That ain't a good sign. And the little garnishment thingy food items, the different food items they had on there, kind of a smorgasbord of food type thing. And then the meat, though, the meat was just a little pile of meat, but it was real thin sliced, kind of what you get like at Arby's. You know how thin they slice their meat. Okay. So I looked at that, and then I kind of turned my head back and forth a little bit, and the guy that invited me, he said, what's the problem? And I said, well, I don't want to say anything. I apologize, but I said, I think they undercooked that. And he said, oh no, they didn't cook it at all. He said, that's the way it's supposed to be. And he said the name, and I've long since forgot it. And I said, oh my. I said, no, that ain't a good thing. And he said, no, try it. And everybody around the table, try it, try it. Fine. So I took a bite of it, not a big one, and immediately chewing on raw meat, in my humble opinion, is not cool. And so with everybody watching, I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And so I threw it over to the inside of my jaw, you know, and over on one side, and swallowed hard, make it look like I'd eat it. And then everybody went to eat, and they say, okay, yeah, he ate it, everything's fine. I never took another bite of that. And the rest of it wouldn't feed a starving squirrel, I'm here to tell you. But I got down some of it, as far as that goes. And they did give me seconds on my Diet Dr. Pepper, which got me through the meal. And I couldn't get out of there quick enough as far as I was concerned, and not counting all the extra silverware laying around that nobody seemed to use, but it was there for you. And so I was glad to get out of there, and on the way home we did stop at Runza then and get a Runza so I could have something to eat. And I heard later through the grapevine though that dinner, and it wasn't just the three of us, there was about there were 6 people there, but it cost $500, and that didn't count the tip. And I said, what's that run? I said, what is that, a $5 bill is usually what I leave for a tip. And they said, no, he left $50 for a tip. And whoa. Again, I would never go out with another rich man unless I know where it's going to be and what I'm going to eat. That's my story. What's your story of something you'll never do again?